my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new, and I am so happy that you're here. We are starting a new Sad Girl Lit reading vlog, and I am so excited for these books. So let's talk about my TBR for this week. Okay, here's the thing. I've put this book on a lot of my 2023 reading plans. However, I purchased it, it came in, and then me and my friend Sarah really want to buddy read this book together because she loves Sally Rooney. I enjoy Sally Rooney's writing, but if you've read Sally Rooney, like, it just makes you feel some type of way. Patra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors has been compared to Sally Rooney's writing. So we have an artist. She's a 24-year-old British painter. Her name is Cleo. She gets into this arranged marriage with an older fellow named Frank. He is 20 years older than her and a self-made success. Frank's life is full of all the excesses that Cleo's lacks, and he offers her the chance to be happy, the freedom to paint, and the opportunity to apply for a green card. So their marriage is very impulsive, and it irreversibly changes both of their lives. The next one, I promise y'all that I'm going to read it in this reading vlog. I feel like I've been saying that I'm going to read this book for months and months and months and months. Like, this is such a carryover book from previous TBRs, but we're gonna read it this week. I have the audiobook for it, which I think is really, really gonna help. I love Oscar Wilde. Like, I read The Canterville Ghost and I absolutely loved his writing style. It's very approachable for like a classic type writer. So I need to just stop being scared.
And I need to stop being annoying and just like read this book.
And then the last one, and this is more of a hopeful, I really wanna focus most of my time on these two. But this is a hopeful for this week, and that is Ithaca by Claire North. This is a Greek retelling of Penelope's story. So Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, while he is traversing through all of his adventures in the Odyssey, Penelope is holding down the fort in Ithaca, but once her husband, Odysseus, is basically assumed dead because he's been gone for like 20 years almost, trying to come home to her, everyone just assumes that he's dead. No one's heard any updates from him, so they're like,
sis, you need to move on and find a new husband.
And so all of these suitors who are so obnoxious basically just take up residence in her home, and they're like, we're gonna stay here and eat all your food and drink all your wine and throw these massive parties and just be super obnoxious until you pick one of us to be your new husband. And Penelope is like,
absolutely not. I know that my husband is still alive and I'm going to wait for him.
I think it's going to be incredible, and y'all know I'm obsessed with Greek mythology, so I hope you're excited. If you are, give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know what you're reading this week in the comments down below. Literally 8 pages into this book and I'm already obsessed with it. Like, the banter and the dialogue between Cleo and Frank,
I am dying. Like,
it is so funny. I'm gonna read a quote, but like on page 8 when they're talking about an evening purse of pussy, exactly, as opposed to like a duffel bag of dick, I am just like dying laughing. Like, this is so funny and so much fun to read. Like, the dialogue in this is really reminding me of Mary H.K. Choi's dialogue, where the characters are very real and very flawed, but the conversations that they have, like, I feel like dialogue in Mary H.K. Choi's contemporary fiction books is just perfection, and immediately that's what I'm getting from Coco Mellors. Like, she's just killing it. She's absolutely killing it. The mood that Coco Mellors is giving in this book is similar to Mary H.K. Choi. So I had to give that update because the way that I am like obsessed, like literally obsessed and already in love with these characters. After 8 pages, I can't even deal. So I need to start reading more of this, but Strong start. I am about to start doing some bullet journaling for my 2023 bullet journal. The setup is pretty much complete. I just want to add in, so these are all of the books that I put on my 23 books for 2023, which are also all 5-star predictions for me. I'm really excited about this list, much more excited than I was for my 22 books for 2022. Those were kind of like a flop, if I'm gonna be honest. Some of them I did really enjoy, but like overall I wasn't super into it. So I'm going to make my 23 books for 2023 spread in my 2023 bullet journal.
How many times in a 5-minute span of time can I say 2023?
And we've talked about these books already, so I figured I would just do the spread with y'all because that's fun. This section is gonna go in my, I make sections for my reading journal, so this spread is gonna go in my readathons section. So we're gonna do that right now. And I figured while I do this, I'm gonna start listening to The Picture of Dorian Gray, the audiobook. I feel like that's gonna be good because I'm really excited to do this activity, and I feel like starting to listen to that book, it's gonna work out well. You know what I mean? A couple of y'all have asked me what size I print out my books and like how I do it. So I do it on Procreate. You can also do this and like size your books and stuff the same size on Canva, and that actually might be a little bit easier, but I just use Procreate because that's what I've gotten used to. But if you're wondering what size I size my books to, it is 232 pixels by 352 pixels. I don't know if that's like a random number or not. It probably is, but that's what I do when I size them with Procreate.
Holly hanging across the door, neighbors singing tales of yore. It's so close, hardly can wait. Waking up on Christmas, children dreaming without a care. 'Tis the season most everywhere, so come home, there's no better place. Waking up on Christmas Day, tinsel wrapped around the tree, snowflakes dancing in the street.
Good morning, my friends. Happy Sunday. I am 90 pages into Cleopatra and Frank, and I honestly think that this could be one of my favorite books of 2022. Like, it's reminding me of Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi, if only the characters in the group of friends were adults and like older. It is just incredible. I love the writing style. I love the dialogue. All of the characters are so quirky, but in like a very realistic way. Like, they just seem so real and yet also so absurd. And then the things that they're doing, like the activities, and it jumps from each character kind of gets their own chapter. So like the things that each character is doing in their own chapter is so them, but it's also just so absurd, and you could only place characters and the scenarios that they're going through in New York City. Like, it's such a good setting. Everything just works. Like, everything is just working. I'm blown away by Coco Mellors. I want to read everything this author puts out. I think this was her debut novel, and it's absolutely incredible. Also, it's starting to hint at some darkness between Cleo and Frank.
Presents tied up with a string for you and me. So grab your stocking above the fire bell.
Okay, I'm 27% of the way through The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I needed to do a check-in right now because I have some thoughts. The character that's in this book, called Henry, is so misogynistic, and it's really just annoying to read about because it's on every chapter with him in it. He's talking about, he always throws in something that is extremely misogynistic towards women. Like, when he first met Dorian Gray. So from what I understand of this book so far, everyone is obsessed with Dorian Gray because he's like a good-looking man amongst this kind of high society group of people. There's this painter, Basil, who has created this painting of Dorian Gray, and Basil is the one who introduces Dorian Gray to Sir Henry or something like that. I can very clearly see that Oscar Wilde in this book is making the comparison that people are obsessed with beauty, and beauty kind of equals love. So like if someone's really beautiful, they're very easy to love, and so that's why everyone is just obsessed with Dorian. But there's so many phrases in here where Henry is just like, he hates women. Like, I can't even, and it's like really disgusting. Dorian kind of like stands up for women in certain conversations, but not always, and it's just really gross. Like, it's just really gross. So in this one scene, Dorian is saying that he has absolutely fallen in love with this actress. She's so wonderful. And so Dorian is going on and he was like, she's a genius. And Henry says, my dear boy, no woman is a genius. Women are a decorative sex. They never have anything to say, but they say it charmingly. Women represent the triumph of matter over mind, just as men represent the triumph of mind over morals. Dorian is like, Harry, how can you? And he's like, my dear Dorian, it's quite true. I'm analyzing women at the present, so I ought to know. Like, Henry thinks that he's really good at observing and like studying people. And then he goes on to say, the plain women are useful. If you want to gain a reputation for respectability, you have merely to take them down to supper. The other women are very charming. As long as a woman can look 10 years younger than her own daughter, she is perfectly satisfied. Go die. Like, literally go die. I don't love it. So yes, I'm enjoying it. I love the writing style. I'm just really, Henry is really wearing on me, as I've said a million times. So I'm going to continue reading, but I wanted to check in with those thoughts so far.
Rocking to the choir, no, nothing else.
Good morning, my friends. Happy Monday. I have some reading updates. So I'm really sorry if you can hear these crows in the background. I'm actually concerned why they're just perched on the tree right outside my apartment. But anyways, I am now 63% through the picture of Dorian Gray. We've gotten to the part where he has really done something very awful to someone, and it started to reflect in the painting. And we kind of put two and two together. He's very ashamed of this painting, that it's really going to accurately reflect who he is as a person. And he no longer wants any of his friends. He doesn't want the painter, Basil, to show this painting or exhibit this painting anywhere. He's very ashamed of it. But at the same time, he's like, oh, good for me. I get to stay looking perfect, basically, throughout my entire life. And this painting just has to bear the truth of my sins. It's interesting, but I'm really not loving this book. It feels like a chore to pick it up. So this morning when I took JMO on our morning walk, I was listening to this audiobook, and I'm right now in the middle of one of the longest chapters of my entire life. It said that it was 42 minutes long on my audiobook, and I was like, oh my gosh, good thing I'm listening to this on 2x speed. It's not giving the more playful critique that I thought it was going to give, and that was just an expectation on my part that I perceived from reading The Canterville Ghost, whereas this is much more of a critique on societal values at that time. Well, societal values that I think can still carry through to today, but I really don't like any of these characters. I don't like reading about them. I was correct that Lord Henry is that bad influence that started to taint Dorian Gray's soul and character in a way, so it's kind of disappointing. But on the other hand, I think it's a good balance, because I am absolutely obsessed with Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I am officially halfway through this book. I'm on chapter 11, and the plan is to read another 100 pages of this today. It is so messy in the best way, but also in the worst way. I love the character studies that are done in this book. They're incredible. If you love a character-driven story and seeing how all of the characters and their decisions play into each other and all connect, it is messy in the best way. And I read the author's note that's in the back, and it said that Coco Mellors took 7 years to write this book. Please, Lord, I need this author to come out with more books, and I really hope that it doesn't take 7 years because I love her writing so much. And then last update, we have some book mail to open together. This is a book that I ordered off of Pango, and it was only $3, and I'm very excited for it. So that book is Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood. We follow Helen and Clytemnestra, who are both princesses of Sparta. They have known nothing but luxury and plenty. With their high birth and unrivaled beauty, they are the envy of all Greece. But such a privilege comes at a cost. While still only girls, the sisters are separated and married to foreign kings of their father's choosing, the powerful Agamemnon and his brother Menelaus, I think. Yet, even as queens, each one is only expected to do 2 things: birth an heir and embody the meek, demure nature that is expected of a woman. But when the weight of their husband's neglect, cruelty, and ambition becomes too heavy to bear, Helen and Clytemnestra must push against the constraints of society to carve new lives for themselves, and in doing so make waves that will ripple throughout the next 3,000 years. I'm obsessed.
Christmas Day.
Okay, I've just finished listening to The Picture of Dorian Gray. I ended up giving it 3 stars. The thing is, I enjoyed the concept of this book. I thought it was a really interesting way to explore sin versus virtue, I guess you could call it. How someone's sins that they commit throughout their life can like corrupt their soul. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting our main character Dorian's evolution over time into something that was much more like good and pure into something that was just very corrupt and evil, and how his portrait really reflected the truth. I think Oscar Wilde was really critiquing how society really values empty virtues at times, like things like beauty, for example, when in all actuality it's better to be a good person than to just be like beautiful and vain. So it was really interesting. I really liked the ending. Actually, that was one of my favorite parts of the book. I really like how it ended. It was just some of the content in some of the chapters, it got very like fluffy and flowery. For example, the 42-minute chapter that I listened to, I feel like that was the chapter that really explored expensive things and kind of frivolities of rich people. This entire list of like historical people and their expensive items, and I was really confused at the time. I was like, what even is this chapter? It's so out of place compared to like what we were just talking about. Really drive home the point that society values expensive objects, beauty, a certain way of life, like high society life, over the things that really matter, like being a good person and treating people with respect and not causing like a bunch of people to commit suicide like Dorian Gray did. Overall, like reading it I don't think was the most enjoyable experience for me, but I did enjoy the actual content of the book. So yes, I gave it 3 stars. I'm really happy that I'm not carrying this book into 2023. Like, I'm glad that I read it this year. Would I ever reread it? Probably not. But that being said, I'm very excited. So for the rest of tonight, I need to read to my page goal in Cleopatra and Frankenstein. And then if I have any time, or depending on how I'm feeling after I finish that section, I'm going to start Ithaca. But it's most likely I'm going to start Ithaca tomorrow. But I can't wait to get into this one. It's been a while since I've picked up any Greek mythology retellings, so. Hi friends, it is Wednesday. Apologies that I didn't really check in much yesterday. I wasn't able to read much during the day, and I did all my reading like very late at night. So I finished Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved that book. If you like character study / character driven stories, if you're a fan of Sally Rooney, if you're a fan of Mary H.K. Choi, and love stories that are set in New York City with just like that absurdity that is only New York City, I think that you would absolutely love this book. It has kind of a critique as well on how our upbringing and our family trauma and like some really dark and sad childhoods in our main characters, how that will manifest into all of the other relationships in your life if you aren't able to kind of like work through that trauma. It really translated and manifested into what they were looking for with their expectations in a romantic relationship, but I would also argue it was also manifesting in the friend groups that they were hanging around in, because even their friendship relationships were not the healthiest, especially at certain moments in the book, but overall like not the best dynamics. So it's kind of toxic, not only in the romantic love relationship between Cleo and Frank that the book really focuses on, but also it kind of spreads throughout everyone else in their friend group. And so I won't give any spoilers away, but I loved the conclusion to the story. I think it was well defined. I was expecting a little bit more of an ambiguous, open-ended type ending, but no, it actually did come to a fairly solid conclusion, and it was just marvelous. I'm so happy that I picked up that book. It was so sophisticated and sharp and emotionally devastating, but also made you really laugh out loud. Like, the dialogue was so witty and on point. Coco Mellors just did the damn thing, and I enjoyed that book so much. Then last night I started reading Ithaca as well. I started reading this at like midnight, and it took me a little while to like get into a steady reading pace with it. So I'm only 30 pages in. I'm on chapter 5. It does have very short chapters, which is always really nice. And it's not what I was expecting right off the bat, but so far I'm really enjoying it. So this is being told through Hera's POV. She's kind of like a fly on the wall in Ithaca, and she's telling Penelope's story and the characters that kind of surround Penelope while Odysseus is still assumed dead and like trying to make his way back to Ithaca. I really love that this is being told from the POV of Hera, and because she is a goddess, she's kind of emotionally removed from the situation, and so her commentary on what's happening is just awesome. I'm really enjoying how Hera / Claire North is being very critical of how Homer kind of crafted these tales, and not just Homer, because she doesn't call him out by name, but she says, "The poets will tell you a lot about the heroes of Troy. Some details they have correct. In others, as with all things, they lie. They lie to please their masters. They lie without knowing what they do, for it is the poet's art to make every ear that hears the ancient songs think that they have been sung for them alone, the old made new. Whereas I sing for no creature's pleasure but my own, and can attest that what you think you know about the last heroes of Greece, you do not know at all." I read that and I was like, I am so invested in this story. I'm going to make some dinner because it's almost 5 o'clock and I am starving, and I will check in a little bit later, if not first thing tomorrow morning, to update you. Okay, I have read 10 more pages of this book, and the way that I have fallen so much more in love with this book is insane. I have no words. If you are looking for a scathing feminist manifesto that is critiquing history written by men, you need to read this book. The way that Hera, but also Claire North, is just not holding anything back. This is like mid-sentence, but she goes, "But she will not be remembered as a queen, merely a vessel for another's seed. Sacred marriage vows are only for wives, not husbands. So down Zeus descended in the form of a swan." Hera is known for her emotional anger, resentment, and wrath towards Zeus and anyone that he cheats on her with, because he is notoriously a massive cheater. Like, he just goes around sleeping with all of these mortals like all of the time, and obviously Hera is like pissed about it. So the fact that she just like goes off on critiquing all of this, I am unwell. Safe to say, I added a tab for Hera's wrath. Like, I have a whole tab and I already have like 4 tabs. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to annotate this book. I always have a hard time deciding whether or not I want to annotate hardcovers because it just feels like wrong to me. But I have a tab for critique of male written history, which I already have a bunch of pink tabs which are for those critiques. I have quotes, symbolism and femininity, power dynamics, and then Hera's wrath. Good morning. I have just woken up, but this has to be some kind of joke, and I really hope it's not an indication of how the rest of my day goes. I just opened my advent calendar, the 15th. They gave me a decaf. That's some kind of sick joke. Hello, my friends. Okay, so it is a little bit later this morning after that decaf coffee blasphemy that my advent calendar gave to me today. So I have a lot of really annoying things that I need to do today, which is why I was like, of course I get a freaking decaf espresso pod today. I have a half day at work today, so that means I get to log in late, and I work kind of like in the afternoon, like a second shift type work schedule. So I get to log in today at 4 p.m. and I work until 8 o'clock, which is great because I need to go to the DMV today to register my car. One thing that, you know, moving every year and living in different places, it sounds like it's gonna be fun until you have to register your car in a different state every single year, and every state does it differently. It's the most annoying thing I've ever had to deal with. So I'm packing my purse right now so that I have everything that I need, and I'm gonna be packing my Kindle so that I can read while I'm waiting. Because obviously this is gonna take forever. So on my Kindle right now, I'm reading The Ballad of Nightmares, which I was reading. I read the first 36% of it in my romance reading vlog that I posted a couple of videos ago. I'm now 50% of the way through. I'm still like enjoying it. It's just really fun and low-key and like a good time. So I'm gonna be reading that, I think, while I wait. I wanted to bring Ithaca, but then I was like, where I'm now annotating it and it's like a whole thing, I was like, I probably shouldn't bring that. That would just be a lot. I didn't get to page 150 last night in Ithaca. I ended up reading up to page 70, I believe. I'm going through my first phase with this book where obviously I was like freaking out about chapter 6, I think. And then it kind of goes into a period where I'm like not super interested in what's happening. So I feel like this book is going to be very up and down with waves of like, oh my gosh, these couple chapters were absolutely stunning. And then it goes into another period of like, okay, this is kind of boring and let's get to the next like point type thing.
It's fine. We're fine.
We're gonna go get our car registered. It's gonna be so super awesome and great. Hello, my friends. It is much later. I got my car registered. I'm feeling very accomplished today. So I did get an okay amount of reading done when I was just waiting in the DMV lines. However, I was not reading one of my Sad Girl Lit books. Tomorrow, now that I don't have to do anything for my stupid car, I can read a lot tomorrow, which will be amazing. Good morning. It is Friday. Update, I didn't read any of Ithaca last night. I promise I'm gonna read it today. It feels like the last couple of vlogs that I've filmed, when I get to my last book on the vlog TBR, I just really lose momentum. I'm gonna try to read it today, I promise. Hold me to that. But I have some book mail. This has one of Ross's Christmas presents in it, but it also has a book I'm really excited about. Cute. Okay, so this is one of the books that is on my 12 books challenge, where 12 friends recommend you 12 books for the next year, and I am so excited for that challenge. So this book was recommended to me by Serena. Thank you so much, Serena. And it's called A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bouchet, or Bouchette. It is a fantasy romance about this like badass female main character. I really didn't need to know more than that, and also I trust Serena's reading taste because her and I have such similar reading tastes. So this is one of the books that is on that list. A couple I already own on that list, but I'm going to be ordering the rest of them. Hopefully after I get some Barnes & Noble like gift cards and stuff like that for Christmas. So this is just the first of many. I'm so excited to do that challenge, and anyone who recommended me a book, thank you so much. I'm literally so excited. So it says, kingdoms will rise and fall for her. Kat Fissa isn't who she pretends to be. She's perfectly content disguised as a soothsayer in a traveling circus, avoiding the destiny the gods and her dangerous family have saddled her with. As far as she's concerned, the magic humming within her blood can live and die with her. She won't be anyone's pawn. But then she locks eyes with the ambitious warlord from the magic-deprived south, and her illusion of safety is shattered forever. Griffin knows Kat is the kingmaker, the woman able to divine truth through lies, and he wants her to be a powerful weapon for his newly conquered realm. Kidnapping her off the street is simple enough, but keeping her by his side is infuriatingly tough. Kat fights him at every turn, showing a ferocity of spirit that burns hot and leaves him desperate for more. But can he ever hope to prove to his once captive that he wants her there by his side as his equal, his companion, and maybe someday his queen? Interesting. I didn't realize that she was part of a traveling circus. Like, okay. Happy Saturday, my friends, or whatever day you're watching this. So I am on my way to hot yoga right now, which I'm really excited about. It's been like a couple weeks since I've done it, and I love hot yoga. It like feels so nice. So anyways, we're on our way to hot yoga, and last night I actually did a good job and I read a good amount of Ithaca. So I'm now on page 155. So I think I read like 80-ish pages, which I'm really proud about, because I think what's happening is, for me, that book is difficult to just sit down and read a lot of it all at once. It's not the most fun to read at times. Like, I think it's a really good, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It's excellently written, but it's not like fun to read. It's a book that's good if you really like to analyze books, and also if you like Greek mythology and you want to see like a different side or a different like critique of the storytelling and the characters and things like that, especially the Greek heroes and like the men that are told in all of those stories. I think it's a really good one, but yeah, it's just difficult to sit down and read a lot of it all at once. But I have reading sprints later today when I get back from yoga, so I'm hoping to get like another really good chunk of the book read. However, I still don't think that I'm gonna be able to finish it today, nor would I really wanna like push myself to just read a lot of this book at once, because I think that that would put me in kind of a slumpy type mood. However, I will check in a little bit later once I've read more and give you kind of like a final update. The one thing that I did want to mention though, it really stood out to me last night when I was reading that next section. The narration of this book is so interesting because it's actually a second person narration style, which is not done very frequently. I don't think I've ever read a second person narration style. Hera breaks that barrier between the reader and the story, because there was at one point where she was like, you and I can see this from a God's type lens, and I was like, whoa, she just broke the fourth wall or whatever it's called, which I think it's just so interesting. And then Hera's presence in the story kind of like fades in and out, so there are certain times where she is, you can really tell that you're viewing the story through her perspective, and she's really inserting a lot of her opinions and things like that on the characters. And then there's other times where you really don't feel her presence at all. You know that you're still kind of watching this story unfold as a fly on the wall. It's so well done by Claire North, how she can kind of fade the narrator in and out of the story, and it's just perfection. Like, it's incredible. It's such a good book. But with that being said, I am pulling into yoga right now, so I'll talk to you a little bit later. It is Sunday, and I am here to close out this vlog. When I tell y'all that I tried my stinking hardest to finish this book before the end of this vlog, but usually I like to end these vlogs on like Friday, Saturday, and then I start my new vlog on Sunday, but I was really trying, y'all. I am on page 334 and there are 400 pages in this book, so I only have like 60-ish pages left. I did sprints yesterday on my channel. I ended up sprinting today with Val because I was like, okay, all hands on deck, like I'm gonna finish this book. It is just a very, very slow paced read, and going into this book I knew that it wasn't gonna be anything like super high stakes and super fast paced. Like, you know, it's a Greek retelling, so, or like it's a Greek retelling slash like spin-off tale, so I knew what I was getting into, but it's definitely just very, very slow and there's a lot of nuances. So I feel like I don't have anything new to say from like the last update that I gave, really. Like, I'm happy that I'm reading this book. I'm getting a lot out of it. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars when I finally complete it. With that, I'm going to end the vlog here. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps to let me know what videos you guys like to see on my channel. That way I can continue making more of them. And don't forget to hit subscribe. We do a monthly reading sprint. We have a book club called the Confused Queens Book Club that I always leave all the details linked in the description box below. And make sure you follow me on Goodreads and Instagram, and I will see you in my next one, friends.